Overcoming the poor baby mentality with compassion. First of all, what is the poor baby mentality? It's one of the many ways you keep yourself low, you put down your energy, you disempower yourself. And this presentation is about getting rid of poor baby mentality and helping others get rid of it by not feeding and supporting and saying yes to their poor baby mentality. I use the charged word poor baby in my coaching so that people instantly get what I mean. I used to use the word victim consciousness. It's another word for victim mentality. And victim consciousness is different from being truly a victim, really a victim. Okay, victim consciousness is pretending that you're a victim when you're not. And sometimes we pretend we're a victim to such an extent that we eventually do become real victims. Okay? And it's also exaggerating the amount of suffering that you're experiencing in order to gain pity and attention from your surroundings or even the entire world. So there are three types of responses to the poor baby, and two of them don't work, but they keep getting used. One of them works. The first type of response is pity, okay, which just feeds the poor baby. If you pity them and feel so sorry for them and take on the same sort of suffering for them, supposedly, that just perpetuates the state, doesn't solve anything. The second type of response is cruelty, being cruel. That's when you see the game, you see through the game, but rather than responding with compassion and lending a hand to help them out of their victim state, you become cruel and start mocking them. You become cold, hard, and cruel. Whatever. These two responses just don't work. They both perpetuate the victim consciousness. The third response, which actually works and heals, is compassion. Genuine kindness and compassion. So let's examine what the difference is between pity and compassion, because the two are frequently mistaken. Compassion heals, and pity furthers victimhood. Compassion empowers, pity disempowers. Compassion is empathy, pity is sympathy. Okay? Empathy versus sympathy. Compassion is a softening of the heart and usually expressed through specific action to solve the problem. And that's what's missing from pity. That's how you can tell the difference. Pity usually does not take specific action to solve the problem, does not shift attention to solutions, which betrays its true agenda and its true purpose. The true purpose of pity and victimhood, which go together, one person is the victim, the other is the pitier. The true agenda is to perpetuate the problem, not to find solutions. So if you see any situation in the world that goes on forever and ever and ever, for a very long time, for decades, and it's still not solved, that's because pity and victimhood are at play, not compassion, not optimism, not strength. All right? Usually you see whether it's compassion or pity later, because if there's compassion at play, things eventually get solved, they get better, they improve. And there's been many situations in the world where there was a problem, there were real victims and so forth, but with enough compassion and energy, the problem eventually got solved. Whereas there are other places in the world where the same set of problems perpetuate and perpetuate and perpetuate. I think you know what type of regions I'm talking about. And what that means is that it's not about solving the problem. This is controversial to say, but if a problem goes on forever, it's because the people do not want to solve it. They want the problem because it serves them in some way. There's some secret or subconscious payoff. Okay? And the payoff is usually a garnering of attention. Attention being an energy form and a currency. Why do people need to garner attention that way? Because they're drained, exhausted, out of energy, and they don't know any more constructive and better way to get that energy, to get that attention. Recognize the poor baby game in the world by opening any newspaper at all, whether it's a right-wing newspaper or left-wing newspaper or neutral newspaper or mainstream newspaper or alternative newspaper. Most of them feed upon poor baby mentality, victim mentality. Why? Because that's what gets the most readers. You'll notice that the news sites which do not feed and cater to victim mentality don't have that many readers, unfortunately. And it's just a reflection. It's not the news's fault or the media's fault. It's what people want to read. It's what sells papers. Open any newspaper at all and just look at the headlines on any day at all. Any newspaper at all, any day at all, and what you'll see is mostly poor baby stories. And the exercise for you is to actually go and do that, and while you read those headlines, think, oh, poor baby. Oh goodness, poor baby. Okay, in my country, the United States, for example, Obama and Trump, right now in the year 2017, the beginning of 2017, these are two individuals that are constantly portrayed as poor babies in the headlines, okay? You say, okay, oh, poor baby, Obama is being attacked. Poor baby, Trump is being attacked. Oh my God. You see, these two individuals, presidents of the United States, are not poor babies. They're not victims. They're in very, very high positions of great responsibility, great power, and their position will bring them great abundance and great riches and great abilities and options. They're not poor babies, yet you have all these newspapers that keep portraying them as poor babies. Trump is being attacked. Oh, what a poor baby. Obama is being attacked. What a poor baby. And that's the exercise, to go through a couple of newspapers and notice the poor baby mentality that is all over the place. Okay, it's ever present. Which is why it's a good idea not to read too much news, so-called news. Okay. Another example might be, okay, you hear the camera always focuses to a place of the most victims. Okay, and recently it always focuses on terrorist attacks. We have about, internationally, 50 terrorist attacks a month. And there are true victims of that and families of that and so forth. But this is getting so much attention that all this exaggerated attention that it gets actually perpetuates the problem. Instead of doing something about it, the news is full of victim stories, and never once will you read, ever, when there's a terrorist attack, never once. This is going to sound controversial, okay, but think about it. Never once will you read that any of the victims might have been done with their life on earth, might have completed their mission, okay, might have been willing to die. Never once will you read that Some may have deliberately put themselves in a dangerous situation. Okay, so for example, if you're a mercenary and you go to Syria and you get killed there, and then there's a newspaper report, what a poor baby you are. Maybe you're not a poor baby. Maybe you chose, with all due respect, maybe you chose to put yourself into that situation where you might get killed. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that I'm not blaming the victims for being attacked. I think what happens to them is horrendous and horrific, and that the victimizers, which are very cruel, the perpetrators, need to be stopped. Okay? Obviously. I'm just saying that the news media will never ever, any news media will ever provide any sort of reconciliation or optimism, or even just the slightest hint that these victims were anything other than victims. And I'd like you to pay attention to that, to notice that. Okay, there's a global agenda at play that seeks to disempower people. This global agenda is not perpetrated by some secret conspiracy, it's perpetrated by the ego. All right? The ego, the disempowered ego, who wishes to insist that you can become victim just like that and at any time. And that's what these terrorist attacks actually show. They show that at any time, anywhere, for no reason at all, something can explode, someone can suddenly shoot you. And that's a dangerous mentality to have, because it means that the universe is cruel, life is cruel, and the bad things that happen to you have nothing whatsoever to do with you. You do not create your reality. There's nothing you can do about it. Okay? But I beg to differ from my many decades of experience as a reality creation coach, and having averted many disasters and dangerous situations myself through the power of my awareness and my mind. I beg to differ. Detecting the poor baby within yourself and the people around you. Why do people behave this way? It's because the self is born as a poor baby. Okay? When you're born, you're all cute and cuddly and totally helpless. You're completely helpless as a child. You are, in fact, genuinely a poor baby. Okay? You have no way to feed yourself or to earn a living or to make decisions. You're at the effect of the world that you were born into. And that's basically the universe's way of ensuring that we develop compassion and care and love toward our children, to help teach us that compassion, love, and care help things grow, help things get better and better and better. Okay? But as you reach adulthood, the poor baby mentality is no longer needed, because you're an adult. You can create your own reality, you can make your own decisions, and you no longer need that. In fact, still having poor baby as an adult disempowers you. As a child it's good, as an adult it's no longer needed. Being a poor baby instantly takes away your ability to do something about anything. Okay? If you're at the effect of reality, you can't change reality. If you think you're at the effect of reality. So here's an exercise. Observe yourself for a couple of days with compassion. Okay? Just observe yourself. With compassion, with humor, with optimism. Just watch yourself. And every time the poor baby voice comes up, notice it. If you want, even write it down. Okay, write down that poor baby voice in order to unmask it, to bring it to the forefront. I guarantee you, you have it, we all have it, because we were all babies at once and we haven't been taught and trained to overcome that. So look at it, write it down. Any sort of blaming of others, any sort of complaint, any sort of feeling at the effect of reality is poor baby. And when you see that, when you see the poor baby within yourself, tell yourself, caress yourself and say, oh, poor baby, in a mocking but loving way, not in a cruel and hard way, not like this, oh, you poor baby, shut the fuck up, not like that, that's cruel, okay, in a compassionate and loving way. Oh, poor baby, so it's slightly mocking, but not mocking to the point that it gets cynical or cold. You see, there's a fine line there between kindness and cruelty. And then, as an additional exercise to that, you can actually endeavor to change your thinking in that moment. Okay, so you might notice yourself saying or complaining. I had a student. He was constantly complaining that his wife got a cat, and the cat wakes him up every morning. Okay, and he got angry every single morning. It was a pattern. Just got angry every morning because the cat woke him up, and he told me the story, and I said, "Oh, poor baby, get woken up by a cat every day." I mean, he makes $200,000 a year. He's well fed, he's healthy, he's happy, and he keeps his entire focus is on poor baby. Okay, how he gets woken up by the cat. And once he realizes the poor baby within him, I said, okay, give me another story. Go away from that story and shift to an empowering, non-victim story. And then he said, okay, I have to take responsibility. Taking responsibility is always a way out of victimhood. And I have to retrain the cat. Okay, me and my wife have to retrain it. At first he said, my wife has to retrain it. That's giving responsibility away again. You see how easily people give away their power. He said, my wife has to retrain the cat, not me. I'm the victim. No, we have to retrain the cat. Why? Because he chose and decided that it's okay for his wife to have a cat. And as long as he made that decision and that choice, it's his responsibility too. Okay? Otherwise, he'd have to get rid of the cat. So if he's going to have it there, in short, he should either get rid of the cat and choose differently, or take responsibility for living with it and retraining it. So he goes on to retrain the cat, and that worked. Funnily enough, he was also projecting poor baby onto the cat. Okay, he didn't want to retrain it because he thought, oh, the poor cat, can't retrain that poor cat. So he was allowing his victim projection toward the cat to make the cat in such a way that it always woke him up. So it's always, it's always a two-way thing. And that's just one of many examples how we can detect our poor baby and overcome it. You have to know that in victim consciousness, no solutions are offered. Okay? That's a telltale sign of victim consciousness. No solutions whatsoever, only complaint. And in compassion, optimism is offered and suggestions to fix it. There's a resolve there to get it done, to fix whatever it is. Okay? It is taken as not another thing that is beating me down and but as something, yet another thing, another great challenge to take care of. You see, the thing is, life throws you these challenges so that you can grow, so that you can become more compassionate, more energetic. all these challenges help you improve. In victim consciousness, you're of the mistaken belief that these challenges are there to beat you down. These challenges are there to harass you. These challenges are there because life is bad and cruel. But actually, these challenges are there to help you grow, to help you improve. And as already said, being cruel also feeds victim consciousness. Cruelty is actually being the victimizer. Okay, so there's the pitier and then there's the victimizer. And the victimizer is cold, harsh, angry, hateful, couldn't care less. Okay, so let's say, let's look at different reactions. Let's say there's a beggar on the street and it's Christmas and it's snowing and it's cold and there's this beggar begging for money. And how would the three different responses handle this person? Okay, so the pity person might walk by and just think, oh, poor man, poor guy. Or maybe throw him some money, which usually doesn't solve anything. Okay, just throw him some money and feel sorry for him. Because the moment you feel sorry for him, you're projecting an energy that keeps him in that place. So he wants to feel small, and then you see him as small. You're supporting that. You're actually rewarding it. Okay? And then let's say the cruel response walks by, and insults him or totally ignores him. Get a job, you lazy ass. That's the cruel response. Oh, don't touch me. And the compassionate response would, frankly, not instantly assume that this person is a victim, no matter how much he looks like a victim, because some people play victim in order to get something. Some beggars that people have observed, scientists have observed, sociologists have observed, actually make it a business to play more victim when people come by. So they might be fine when nobody's watching, but as soon as people are watching, they suddenly contort and change their body, or suddenly get a cane as if they couldn't walk anymore. All this has been observed. So in compassion, you wouldn't instantly assume that somebody's a victim. So I might approach them and say, how are you? Merry Christmas. What are you doing out here? Mm-hmm. Oh, what do you want in life? I see. And then I might give him some money, or maybe not. Okay? If I see that he's playing a victim role mostly, I'm not going to give him money. And if I see he's genuine, he's really in need, okay, but he's cool about it, I'll usually give him money. Or not. I don't have to. Okay? There's no guilt inside me. That's why people can't blackmail me. Blackmail is one of the big things about people in victim consciousness. They try to blackmail you with it. They say, oh, poor me, you won't help me? What's wrong with you? You're so cold. I needed help when I most needed help. Next time you need help, I'm not going to help you back. Okay, that's blackmail. That's emotional blackmail. Do not respond to it, I recommend. Don't respond to it. If you do respond to it, people will make use of you in that way over and over again, and they'll eventually lose respect. So it's okay to say no. It's okay not to give. It's okay not to help. You help when it feels right, and you help out of compassion. You lend a hand out of compassion, not out of guilt. Huge difference. You lend a hand because you have the resources, you have the time. You don't lend a hand when you don't have the resources and don't have the time. Only help people without detriment to yourself, because if you help people with detriment to yourself, you're lowering both yourself and the other. These are very, very important energy principles, consciousness principles at play. And it's really a shame that these things are not taught in school. They're so very important. A clue for the difference between sympathy and empathy can be found in the roots, the Greek roots of the word. The word sympathy comes from suffering, and the word empathy comes from passion. Okay? It's good for you to develop empathy, to develop genuine interest in improvement of self and others, in supporting people, in supporting yourself. It is not good for you to develop sympathy, to constantly feel sorry and look down and see a problem and get all serious and sad about everything you see. That's not good for you. Snap out of it. So there's a lot more say on the poor baby syndrome, but I believe what was already said in this presentation is enough to work on it for yourself, to detect it within yourself. Okay? You may repeat watching this, and if it helped you, please share this video far and wide. My name is Fred Dodson of realitycreation.org.